Today on 10 Minute IT Jams, we have Clarence Dent, who is the country manager for ANZ for WalkMe. So welcome to the jam, Clarence.
Thank you for having me, Nick. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Likewise. So to start us off, could you give me a brief overview of WalkMe? So yeah, what are your key products and offerings?
Okay, so there's always a bit of folklore around founder stories. For us, we were founded around 10 years ago. Our CEO and co-founder, Dan Adika, founded WalkMe because he was continually experiencing the great challenge of helping his mother with online money transfers. So she'd call him up, he'd help her do it. Click here, do this, do that. This is how you do it. And sure enough, next week, same. So there has to be a better way. And that led to him to invent what's now known as the walkthrough, which is the foundational element of what's now known as a digital adoption solution. Fast forward 10 years, we've created this category of solutions called digital adoption solutions. We're the market leaders in the space. We're proudly listed on the NASDAQ as of June this year. So it's been an incredible time. I'm really proud to be part of the team. Ultimately, our mission is really about helping organizations improve ROI and de-risk large-scale implementations of software platforms. And we do that via better adoption.
Right, yeah. So yeah, you mentioned digital adoption as one of your core things. So how does this philosophy and how do your offerings help employees work more effectively?
Yeah, well, that's a very good question because we are through and through about digital adoption in all aspects. That is what we do. It's a very clear mission and we're single-minded in it. If we look at business today, I think very few people would argue that more than ever we're powered by software. And that's all happening. There is a promise around software implementations. And that's about return on investment. Now, there's so much data out there, and our customers tell us this too, is the reality is that transformations, they can and they are failing. Depending on who you ask, that's anything from 7 out of 10 to 9 out of 10 transformations fail to live up to the hopes of the management stakeholders. So it's very real. When you look at that, the potential to recapture ROI on those transformations is enormous. The potential to accelerate and de-risk it is enormous. And the fundamental premise is, how do we get people to operate these software platforms in the way that we intended? Because it's very difficult to realize return on investment in these kinds of technologies if people simply don't know how to do things and fail to do things correctly. I mean, I've been in software for a very long time. I couldn't count the number of times someone said to me it wasn't the software. It's the way we implemented it. It was the way we adopted it. So how do we get people doing things in the way that we intended? When I think about software, I think about we deploy it for cost, risk, revenue. We want to improve our competitiveness. And the underlying principles of that are generally the software is built to serve many, and we put our competitive advantage into it through our processes. So for me, software adoption is all about process. It's all about how do we get people executing your business processes where your competitive advantage lies. How do we get them to do that more often and more effectively and more swiftly? And that's really, to me, what digital adoption is all about from a WalkMe perspective.
Right. Yeah. So we've talked a lot about digital adoption, but is that any different? What's the difference between that and digital transformation? Because I know a lot of people, a lot of our audience knows digital transformation, definitely. So yeah, and how does digital transformation tie in with WalkMe?
Well, I think there's a lot of definitions out there for digital transformation, and people will have their own views about what's digitization versus what's digital transformation. Ultimately, what we're looking at here is a problem of no matter how you look at it or what your angle of inference is on this topic, at the end of the day, you need your employees and your stakeholders, customers, partners, engaging with you in software platforms to execute on business processes. And the better experience that your customers have doing that, the better off your business is going to be. And the better experience your employees have doing that, the better off your business is going to be. So I think about it in very simple terms is you've got a person, either an employee or a stakeholder, sitting in front of a software platform, trying to execute some business process, possibly whilst trying to service your customer at the same time, and helping them do that in the moment of need better, more effectively, faster, more accurately, and taking the friction out of it and giving them a good experience in doing so. Ultimately, it allows your employees to spend more time focusing on running the business and dealing with your customers and celebrating your customers and servicing them, and less time mucking around with software platforms that we need them to use to run, to do all that work and keep track of it.
Right, yeah, brilliant. So what sorts of software platforms can WalkMe operate on?
Well, this is the great thing about it. I mean, basically anything. We support all manner of software platforms that businesses run. It started out as websites, you know, that when Dan and our other co-founders brought WalkMe to life, it was about websites and being very successful at helping organizations with that. Many people said, well, what about mobile applications? And yeah. And we went on to, well, what about legacy desktop applications? Yeah, well, I think we can help you out with that too. And we've now taken WalkMe to the point where it's not just about the application, it's about the employee and the process. And we can support the entire, and the customer in the process. We can support the entire life cycle, for example, of the onboarding of a new staff member. From the moment they switch on their computer, we can give them a brilliant, tailored experience at entering an organization, understanding how to engage with the software platforms you've got that they need to understand to do their job, where to go, what to do, how to do it, and handhold them through every step of that process and make sure they get a really great experience across all your software platforms. You know, there's certain legacy desktop platforms that are harder to operate on others naturally. As more and more things progress to the cloud, it's just going to continue. So it support's very broad for all manner of different types of applications and delivery methods.
Right, yeah, nice. So yeah, I got one more question for you, Clarence. If a partner or enterprise end user wanted to engage with WalkMe, what's the best way?
Oh, well, anyone can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd love to talk to you about digital adoption. You can find us at our website, walkme.com. You can put in an inquiry. You can engage with one of our many campaigns on social. Our team is always on hand to engage with you a bit in a conversation about digital adoption in any of the many channels we're in. We're doing lots of this type of stuff at the moment, a lot of LinkedIn conversations, a lot of webinars. So basically jump on to Google or to your favorite social media platform of choice and key in WalkMe, and you'll find numerous ways to engage. But I personally live and breathe this stuff, Nick. I love it. If anyone wants to talk to me, you can find me on LinkedIn, reach out, make a connection, and let's have a chat about how you might be able to use digital adoption to accelerate ROI on your transformations, de-risk them, give your customers and employees an outstanding experience engaging with your organization.
Brilliant, sounds good. Well, yeah, thanks for taking your time out of your day, Clarence. That's the end of today's interview. Thank you.
Appreciate being here. Thanks, Nick.